Okay, yo, what's up, everyone? Okay, so all this CLI craziness that's going on, the Claude code migration to the Gemini CLI to the open source part of the masters community is so with all that, right? I've been working on a CLI tool that's not any of those, but it has elements all over. So it's like, find the tool, rip the tool, make the tool your own. And so I'm going to probably break this down in some parts so it doesn't get boring. This is like a lot of functionality, but we're going to start with the root of this thing, which is I call the Vibrate Engineer, which is a CLI tool, and it's taken from DeepSeek Engineer version 2. So we're going to just like walk through step by step. This is all like the first part, just so you can see the functionality of it. Yeah. So anyway, probably wondering what this guy is. Well, this is AppleScript. I don't know. Do people you remember this? Does people remember what AppleScript is? Well, anyway, I still use it to like launch things because I hate like, transfer, just like move into different directories and stuff like that to launch applications. Even though I don't mind doing that because I'm really comfortable in the terminal. And but anyway, here we go. So we're gonna launch the Vibrate Engineer, and it's gonna run through. It's gonna launch. All right, so here we go. This is like part one. We're gonna give it some. Make it a little some. Give it a little. Make it a little wider for you here. All right. Well, don't worry about any of that this startup garbage up here. That's just the nature of the beast. Let's see, what is that? No, this is all just like startup script, meaning like activates the virtual environment and kicks off the Vibrant Engineer. All right, so we're gonna kick it off right here. So this is Nucleo. I basically call most of my products Nucleo. I have an AI system chatbot that has a bunch of different agent. It's like an agentic type chatbot. It's called Nucleo. Found a Nucleo.chat. Anyway, so this is a Vibrant Engineer. The first part I want to point out is the first mode that opens is either the China mode or the USA mode. And so let me explain. So as you can see, the China mode, it's all DeepSeek models, right? So like the chat part calls to the Grok cloud, Grok GROQ cloud with the inference, with its distilled DeepSeek V1, with the Llama 70B, which is a pretty good model. I mean, I've used it in a lot of stuff. And then I have the USA mode, which you know me, I'm a Google fanboy. So here's your Google models. Anyway, since we're living life outside the U.S., let's go ahead and kick off with China mode. So then it breaks you to the next thing, right? And these are individual agents, so meaning like you can rock a few of them on that. You just bust them out in the terminal, so you can have them all. You can have them all burning if you want at the same time. Just keeps you efficient. Meaning that I just like a lot of stuff going on because it's chaotic that way. Anyway, so first off, we're gonna start with like the agent mode, and of course that's your typical agent. So this is like this is a CLI tool, even though with the DeepSeek Vibrate Engineer, it's really one long Python file, which is great because I'm a Python dev, so it makes super sense to me when I read it. Okay, so but yeah, you got the file operations. You can bring paths, you can bring folders, you can bring anything you want. Let's talk to it with the natural language, right? There's a shell command which I thought was cool about like the CLI. Uh, so you can move and transverse to directories and everything like that, and then but you're still inside the tool, which is cool. Um, okay, and then let's see. Yeah, then you got your command. You can execute things when you pop a shell. You're all good there. So let's just quit this guy out. All right, we'll just spin up another instance. We'll still be in China mode here. But while we'll do it, just as so you can, we'll kick this one off. So this is USA mode, hopping over here. So it's gonna do all the same things to your Google models, right? And then, but anyway, we're here for the part one of this demo. All right, so then you basically have your chat bot. So just this does have tool calling, but it's essentially made for. Yeah. Well, before I get too much into it, let's. So you just chat. All it is chat. All right, so you get a little chat going on, and it'll do it. It'll do its thing, right? So, but here's the part that I also want to highlight on the chat function, right? Is you can do execute, and let me quit this guy out. Get this going here. If you see over on here, what we're gonna do is, all right. So in China mode here, we're gonna click, and we're gonna basically fire up a daemon, a demon. something like that. Anyway, so you say, hey, can you code me a game in Python, please? Make it a game of Snake and place it in this directory. All right, so because I'm asking it to place it in a directory, let's see what directory. Oh, okay. Let's see this. So let me copy this guy and we're gonna add it there. And I'm just gonna put a little do not forget to put it in this directory. Just because I need to work out to make sure that it doesn't like write it to the main file, meaning write it to the vibrate engineer, which it may. So we'll see. But the point on this is you see you have your daemons open right here and you've already hit the execute. So you have the execute flag or the execute command. And so let's make sure that we can see this guy good. And we're gonna, so we'll fire off that command. It's gonna look for the daemon you see here. And it's gonna start creating the file and working here. So now you see this is sent this request to this other agent. And so now you can see that you're kind of you have a main control orchestrator that's controlling these downstream daemon agents. And that's the short of it. And that's all I want to go over for like part one. So this is going to cook and then it's going to put it in a directory as it's supposed to. So just but ideas to think of is that you could have daemons running SSH over to another machine, and then you can control them from a main orchestrator. And it's these type of things like just that are kind of unique that think kind of outside of like just the command tool. So if you're like you have multiple machines, you have daemon agents looking for an orchestrator agent, you have all of this happening on multiple machines, then it's going to get crazy. So this is just the beginning. So it's just a brief example. But if we circle back, uh, you remember, and then so while this is going, you can just spin up another agent. You can spin up another agent, and you're like, okay, well, let me do something else. And so there you go, and if you can see, it's just you managing terminal. And I don't use tmux because it's like multiplexer, terminal inside a terminal. I don't use that. But this is an example of like how I can like lay out all my tiles and see all my agents working. I can like bust them in and out of Vim if I want to keep development. It's just another way to develop outside of an IDE. So it's kind of like a indie hacker ADE, agentic development environment. So it's it may look crazy, but hey, I'm one guy. I like building things and kind of stretching the boundaries here. If you can see, there's basically six models that are all here. I was gonna think about doing next is like a Mars mode, which is like all the Grok models, GROK, and then just putting in that functionality. But you can like plug and play models. This gets model agnostic. Just kind of got to work out the bugs. Anyway, this is a quick demo. We'll do it again with part two when we actually focus on a real project. But as you can see, it's just going to continue. The workers are going to continue to work, and you can just move on to the next guy. All right, peace.